Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Parity Present. For those that don't know, Parity is our gender equality network dedicated to driving inclusion in the boardroom, spotlighting women in leadership. We support women across different tech sectors, whether it's fintech, health tech, green tech, ed tech, and AI. We also launched our website last year, so feel free to scan the QR code below and learn more about our history, how to join us, and any future events that we have going on. Parity Presents is our virtual newsletter, and once a month, I have a female in leadership to learn more about their experience and how they got into leadership. So for this month, we have Vanessa Di Frances, who is a senior VP in the Fintech relationship team covering regional Fintech clients. With over 10 years of experience in financial services and startup and finance communities, Vanessa provides tailored strategic advice to early stage fintech founders, including banking, payments, and lending solutions. Prior to Silicon Valley Bank, Vanessa was a product lead and operations manager at Amount, where she focused on product development and expansion on profit margin. She also she also led a team of one of the highest volume partners and was part of the leadership team of managing the Paycheck Protection Loan Program project. Before that, she spent some time in at FinTech Sandbox and at Boston Accelerator. Earlier in her career, she worked in wealth management at Bank of America with international clients and Morgan Stanley, learning more about portfolio construction and diverse investment strategies. She worked early on in her career to develop communities for women to support and advocate for each other, which I love. She founded the first women employee group at Amount Formal Foundation and led similar groups at Morgan Stanley and Bank of America. At Silicon Valley Bank, she continues to do their work with other women leaders. She enjoys volunteering and is an active member of SOMO's VC, New York City FinTech Women, and part of the Alumni Council for Cornell Johnson School of Business. Without further ado, please welcome Vanessa Lemay. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Hi, Mo. Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing absolutely. I'm doing good. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I will let you go ahead and just introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, I want to say, it's great to see all the work the Parity is doing. I've worked with a lot of team members on your team, and it's just wonderful all the events that you do to support women. So thank you. Well, to share a little
Yeah.
bit about myself,
Yeah.
I'm actually in San Francisco. I've been here for 3 years, but I originally grew up in Peru and then moved to Florida with my family when I was 14. And I spent there 10 years, went to college there. Then I moved to Boston for work, started my career, as you mentioned, in wealth management
Mhm.
and at US Strauss, Morgan Stanley, and then transitioned into SBV to work with fintech companies.
Yeah.
And this is where I am now.
Yeah, no, I love that. And obviously, thank you so much for that introduction. I know you've been a very great leader in the fintech space and a very well known name, but I wanted to go before the start of your career. You studied finance and went a semester abroad in France, which we talked about before. Then you went to Harvard, then you went to Cornell for graduate programs. What inspired you to take the finance route, knowing that it's a very male dominated field?
Yeah, it still is. But it definitely changed. I believe
Hmm.
so. I grew up with a family that was very entrepreneurial. My dad is an economist in Peru. And so when I was little, I would always hear my dad talk about the economy was happening in Peru. My grandfather was a business owner and he would sell fabric. So he would go and like travel. And I would always ask him, like, what's successful? What do customers like? Or can I help you sell? It was, I
Yeah,
was a little like 9, 10 year old. So
yeah,
when I started school, I thought, I want to be like my grandfather, like my dad, get into
oh, yeah.
finance. So that's what motivated me to start in a career in finance, fintech now.
Oh, I love that. Do they know that they were kind of like your inspirational to get into that?
They do. My dad knows. My dad still like talks to me about things that are happening in the economy, so it's
Uh,
great. And then my mom, yeah, as well.
mhm.
She
Yeah,
worked in California, so yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. And what got you into like the fintech space? So obviously, like as you know, it's now a very growing space. The tech space in general is very great. But what got you started into that fintech space?
Yeah, so back when I was in Boston, I was working at Morgan Stanley, and started to see just some inefficiencies within the financial services. And there was a group called Boston Fintech Meetup,
Yeah.
led by Sarah Biller, who's an amazing leader in fintech. And she would put this like community events together with the Fed, and I would go and like learn about it. And I realized
Hmm.
there's so much opportunity in financial services to be disrupted. And at the time, there were a lot of companies that were focusing on the underbanked and the underserved. So I thought there was like a
Hmm.
mission behind fintech. And to this day, I believe there's so much that fintech can do to help the underserved communities. And that's what attracted me to fintech. And I thought, let me find a way to get into the space and work for like mission driven companies that are helping those.
Yeah, got it. And what was the first time that you actually like broke into the fintech space?
It was I volunteer at a few startups in Boston,
Hmm.
and then my work at Foundation was the company
Hmm.
uh, that is now Amount. It was Foundation. Then it
Hmm.
was acquired. We partnered with on Deck Capital to become Linear, and then Amount bought us. So that's a company where I started really on fintech.
Got it. And what are some of the advice that you have for other women in their beginning of their career that are looking to go into that same fintech route?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have like your North Star, right? Once you start
Hmm.
working, have an understanding of where do you want to go in your career. I think I've been very
Hmm.
intentional about what skills do I need to develop in each of my roles to try to get to the next level, to the next role, and having a map kind of
Hmm.
helps you get there. So that is my advice. Like, and and one more thing is mentors and sponsors. Having a mentor, even if it's not someone that you talk to, someone senior to you, even if it's outside of your company, can be helpful to you and tell you how to get to where you want to get to. And a sponsor in a company, I've been very lucky to have really good sponsors help you kind of advocate for you and have a seat at the table and help you
Hmm.
with promotions or bonuses or bring opportunities to you that you might not see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I feel that having a mentor is just very important, especially in your career. Well, who was your, do you remember who was your first mentor?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Let's see. So, well, Sarah Beller did help me a lot when I was in Boston.
Hmm.
And then I had one of my
Yeah.
advisors, Ruben, at Morgan Stanley. It was really great. And I
Yeah.
until now I have this amazing uh, mentor. His name is Barry. He used
Hmm.
to be the CEO of the company I used to work with, and he's just given me so great advice. And yeah,
Yeah. It's always good to see like how no matter like you left the company and went somewhere else, like they're still there and communicating with you and just like supporting you. So I love that. No, awesome. And in terms of like being obviously a senior VP, as VP as well, and like managing fintech, what has been? How did you achieve it, or how did you get there?
yeah, I think business school helped a lot. It helped
Hmm.
me get into the network, the space, get to know a lot more people in the community. At Cornell, I
Hmm.
was volunteering at Alumni Ventures, so I was able to see how deals get processed, what goes in a term sheet. I
Hmm.
also took entrepreneurship classes at Cornell, how to start like from a business idea to actually pitch into VCs, and one of the classes was really hard, and doing customer
Mhm.
interviews. So, I think that foundation really helped me kind of understand where I wanted to go to. And I
Yeah.
interview, tech companies and VCs, but SVV's culture, it
Mhm.
just it spoke. It was great. It's still great. I love the fintech team. I love my boss, and just the dynamic that
Oh,
we have is wonderful. And that's one of the reasons that I'm still here.
yes, no, absolutely. Love that. And obviously, like you've been there during the acquisition and everything back in 2023 and SVP shutting down. What made you believe in the long run or the long term and believing that in SVP's mission?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was definitely tough. I'm not gonna downplay
Yeah,
it. But I think team dynamics, and you'll see that in many companies where you say like your boss, your colleagues play a
yeah.
big role in making those decisions. And
Mhm.
I saw it as an opportunity to start building something from the start, rebuilding that brand. Um,
Yeah.
and now it's been 2 years, and we are continuing to serve that economy, that innovation economy. We're doing events, we're publishing reports, and having First Citizen backing us, it's been great. They've been
Hmm.
very supportive. We now have a diversified balance sheet of 150 billion in deposits. So I think it's been a great process,
Yeah.
since we got acquired, and to continue serving clients the way that we used to.
Hmm.
Things haven't
Yeah.
really changed in perspective.
Yeah. No, I love that. No, that's so awesome. And shout out to First Citizens Bank for acquiring it. But with that being said as well, like obviously you've been at Morgan Stanley, Bank of America Foundation for like SVP. What are some challenges that you face in your career just for being a woman in a very male dominated industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenges are still there sometimes. Finding community has really helped me. So finding like women groups, or finding like a someone within the role, like the industry, that
Yeah.
could help me get my point across, helps. Politics. What are every time I like started a job, I would be like, what are
Yeah.
the politics here? Who's the who in
Hmm.
in this division? Some of the challenges, I would say, it's harder to grow sometimes. You could be
Hmm.
eager and you wanted to learn, but sometimes it's just not that easy, or there aren't many positions available. So that was
Hmm.
like one challenge I experienced early on, and making sure that my voice was heard. Right, you've probably seen it in many books where guys would have an idea, and then you did too, and it's the same idea, and then they they don't take your idea. It was like
Yeah.
X idea, right? So just making sure
Yeah.
that it took me a little bit, and a lot of like books, um, to
Hmm.
learn of like how do I make sure that people like listen to me and I have a presence,
Yeah.
in those meetings, have been helpful. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
we still have a male dominated finance world, and fintech too. You see a lot of fintech male founders. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's changing, and it will be, there still be challenges, but there's a way, if you have community, to continue growing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel, yeah, as you said, communities are very important, specifically in like the finance space. So I love to hear that you have people around that surrounding you, supporting you, and that's always great. But there was also like kind of a statistics that were around 2% of women in VC. There is around 2% of women in VC and the fintech space. I know it's a very small percentage and it's very frustrating. How do you feel the space will grow in the next like 5 to 10 years? Like, is there going to be more growth for women in leadership?
Yeah, I mean, it is a really sad stat to see the 2%.
Hmm.
But I've heard a lot of people say we should change the narrative, and we should talk about who are those companies, who are those female founders that are getting funded, Let's
Hmm.
amplify those voices. Let's support those women, those female founders,
Yeah.
to help them to create more noise about that, not worry about the negative, how much they're funded. But the more we amplify
Hmm.
those voices, those stories, I think it would help us to get more funding, to get more growth. One of the things that I do at SVB, with more women in our team, is we try to put together
Yeah.
events where we support those women and try to create connections with maybe a new founder and connect them to like
Hmm.
another founder that has successfully raised around. So those
Hmm.
connections are very valuable because then they can help each other, or also do VC introduction. So a lot of what we do at SVB too is just to help that community and help those,
Hmm.
those women, to highlight those women in the sector.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And what kind of like types of companies or like that are in your portfolio that you manage at SVP?
Yeah, so we I work with Series A fintech companies
Hmm.
up to once a company has raised 75 million in revenue. And we so the way SB works, we have an early stage group. So anything
Hmm.
pre-seed or idea generating, will be in that early stage group. And then our accelerated growth team, which is where I sit, are the companies between Series A to Series D once they hit the revenue number. And then we have a corporate
Yeah.
banking team. So
Hmm.
in my
Hmm.
portfolio, I have companies that have raised a Series A, or maybe a larger seed round, up to like a Series C, and we help them with debt, venture
Hmm.
debt, payments, infrastructure, and now I'm like like a strategic advisor to them.
Hmm. Got it. Love that. Awesome. And when we last spoke, obviously you mentioned to me a little bit about the event that you attended with Parody and partnering with that and seeing all the women that were in just one room supporting each other. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience, how it was, and what made like how did it make you feel?
Yeah, I love working with Cassie. I just saw that she's doing a book club, so that's amazing. Wish I was in New York and
Mhm.
can participate. But yeah, I love doing women's events because of that energy is so special.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. Having a group of women trying to help each other, and we're very honest. I think everyone at that room, like when we did it at Fintech Meetup, everyone was like willing to help each other. How can I help you? I find like I'm fundraising, I'm not, or I need connections to partners. And I think those communities where we are all together kind of helps foster that conversation and those opportunities.
Hmm. No, absolutely. Also, a little bit about the book club. The club. It's actually going to be a virtual discussion between Cassie and yeah, talking a little bit about like the likable badass. So you can obviously read it with them virtually and go from there.
Yes, maybe we should have a link for the how to sign up.
Yes, we definitely should. Awesome. I'll work with Chelsea on that. But with also being obviously in a very stressful job, when you go out of office, like how do you usually recharge and just like set your mind off of work?
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, I do many things. I'm very active.
Yeah.
I love hiking with friends,
Mhm.
with my husband. I like doing dinners with friends,
Mhm.
family. Also, when traveling, it's one of my favorite things to do. Just to travel, go somewhere
Yeah.
new, get lost in a city. I'm not like a big planner, so like
Oh,
when it comes to
yeah.
hiking, when it comes to traveling, so I just try to do like the opposite of what I do with my job. And
Mhm.
I like to just have a good time, get lost in the city, try new food. That really is what helps me recharge. Or being in the woods,
Yeah.
camping maybe one night.
Love that. What was your favorite city to visit?
Well, I love Paris, but I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Maybe I would say maybe Sydney, Australia.
Okay. Wait, why? What was like attractive about it?
it was so cool. I don't know. The food was really great. People were
Yeah.
super nice. Like they were
Uh,
everyone I talked to was very
mhm.
friendly. There's a lot of activities. We went
Oh,
to the opera house. You can go to the beach.
oh,
Uh, you can just
yeah.
walk around. And I love the vibe. It was like a very California, maybe New Yorkish kind of vibe, but I really liked
Oh,
it.
yeah. Definitely will add it to my list. Then I was always scared of like just going there because of the spiders. Like seeing the pictures of how big they are, I'm like, I'm good.
They are pretty big. Yeah,
Yeah,
there are a lot of bats too, like fake bats. Like I would be walking around at night and they
yeah. Maybe I will not. I will remove it from my
but
travel list then.
outside of that, honestly, like love the people, love being there. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
no,
should
absolutely love that. Awesome. And in terms of like, obviously, what would be a piece of advice that you have for women in leadership that are trying to like are looking to fundraise for their next round for their own companies?
yeah, I think right now it's like a good time. This year it's going to prove a lot.
Mhm.
There's a lot of companies that are going to potentially, go public. So I
Yeah.
think what's most important is understanding who's going to be on your cap table. Are those VCs going to be
Mhm.
supportive when times get tough? And knowing what are you going to use that capital for? What are you going to hire more people? What is it? What is the actual need? And
Yeah.
having a plan of where you're going to use those funds to. We see a lot of
Mhm.
companies that are also being more thoughtful in where they're spending their funds, their current funds. So being thoughtful about
Mhm.
burn, it's good. I would say that would be that's really important right now because a lot of VCs are looking at burn and growth.
Got it. That's very helpful. Thank you. And obviously, like you, when it comes to fintech companies, do you feel like, or do you think having a male or a female CEO or co-founder can change the amount of funding that's being raised?
Tricky question. um, hmm. Well, research has shown, and there's
Mhm.
data in PitchBook, Crunchbase, in the past years
Yeah.
that having a male CEO does help. But
Mhm.
I wouldn't just like if you're a female founder and you want to go fundraising just to hire someone like a male CEO just to go fundraising. I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah.
As long as
Mhm.
there are synergies with the founder, because having a co-founder, it's it's like a marriage. You're going to spend a lot of time with
Yeah.
that founder, so it's really important to make sure that you have enough synergies that he has the same interest in the business. And I think
Mhm.
diversified teams are where most important. That research has
Yeah.
shown that right the diversified teams are more successful than the ones that are not. So I think I would be just thoughtful of how you build your board, intentional.
Got it. That makes actually a lot of sense and very helpful. I, being a co-founder is a marriage, as you said. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. It is. You're literally spending more time with them probably than your actual partner.
Yeah, weekends, a lot of hours, so for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And how can people obviously get in touch with you or connect with you if they have any questions or just want to know what more?
Yeah, LinkedIn. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Mhm.
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so I usually go there just like a private message. And if there's
Yeah.
like a reason or a topic that we can talk about, that always helps me too.
Mhm.
So I think that's the best way. Or if people want to get to know our events, I publish a lot of our events in LinkedIn. And once we have also SBD also post a lot of reports on fintech or state of the
Mhm.
markets. I'm very
Mhm.
active in LinkedIn, and I can post those as well.
Awesome. And probably the most difficult question on this podcast that I always
Uh,
ask everyone.
today.
If there's one oh, if there's one meal that you can eat for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Sorry, say that again. If there's what?
Oh, If there is only one meal that you can eat for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, that is hard because I do love food. I
Exactly.
love what do I love? I love Peruvian food. I love
Mhm.
Spanish food as well from Spain, like a good tapa.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
think like a mix of both would be good. But then you also have sushi. I don't know. It's hard.
Oh,
Maybe Spanish. I'll leave it at Spanish food with Peruvian.
yeah. I told you that is the hardest question. So. Yeah.
Yeah, so many good options.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Vanessa. And I know with the time and everything, I wanted to make sure that you have some time as well before your next meeting. So thank you so much for joining me on Parody Presents as well. And thank you for being a great member and working with Cassie on different events and everything. So we really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Mo. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Chelsea and Kessie,
Oh,
and looking forward to doing more together.
yes, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining who tuned in today. We really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for our next episode for next week, which will be pretty exciting. So yeah, stay tuned and have a great day.